get up on your feet. What you need to do is catch up with them. Get up on your feet and help me get it.
When a pair of burglars escaped from Amsterdam's Van Gogh Museum on a frosty December morning in 2002 with two of the artist's priceless 19th century paintings in tow, it sent shockwaves through the art world. But despite pulling off a theft the FBI called one of the top 10 art crimes of all time, and in less than 4 minutes Octave Durham and his accomplice Henk Bieslijn still had work to do. They now found themselves in possession of two paintings that were valued by investigators at a combined £80 million, but were impossible to sell through ordinary channels given that any attempt to do so would immediately link them to the heist of the century. Now a new documentary, Stealing Van Gogh, has revealed how Durham and Bieslijn's links to the criminal underworld allowed them to get the red-hot spoils of their audacious raid off their hands for a jaw-dropping sum, albeit one far less than the paintings were actually worth. In it, independent arts crime investigator Arthur Brand explains how stolen art is used as a banknote to be traded for arms or drugs in the criminal underworld with a standard value of 10% of the figure it would fetch on the open market. Presenter and art historian Andrew Graham-Dixon pieced together the story of the two paintings and explored the wider world of art crime in the BBC Two documentary Stealing Van Gogh. Seascape at Sheveningen, painted in 1882, and Congregation leaving the Reformed Church in Nuenen, which is dated between 1884 and 1885. Were taken from Amsterdam's Van Gogh Museum on December 7, 2002 by thieves who climbed onto the roof, used sledgehammers to smash reinforced security glass, and swiped the two artworks closest to the hole they'd made, escaping via a rope tied to a flagpole less than 4 minutes later. It would be some 14 years before they were finally recovered, almost 2,000 kilometers away in a mafia hideout in Naples, Italy. At the time of the heist, neither painting had ever been sold, meaning they had no market value, but investigators estimated the value of the stolen works at £80 million. According to Brand's insight, this would suggest that criminals had £8 million in black market goods on their hands. Indeed, police who tapped the duo's phones after DNA matching that of the convicted crooks on hats left at the scene of the crime on December 7, 2002, heard conversations about money that indicated they had sold the paintings on by 2003 or 2004. Evidence suggested the pair went on to splurge on luxury watches, cars, and trips to New York and Disneyland Paris, proving the fact the paintings were stolen did not prevent them exchanging hands for cash. The art world and the criminal world are far more incorporated than people think, Brand said in the documentary. Stolen art goes from hand to hand very quickly. It is used as a banknote in the criminal underworld. They use it for trading arms, drugs. The standard value is 10%. It means if you steal a painting worth £10 million, you can use it as a banknote for £1 million, 10% of the value on the open market, he said. While they were stolen from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, the paintings eventually ended up in Italy, secreted behind a false wall inside a Camorra safe house in Naples. An elite art crime squad within the Italian Carabinieri carried out investigations into the stolen artworks, and told Graham-Dixon of their conviction the two thieves were only successful in their theft because they liaised with an insider within the Van Gogh Museum. The paintings were eventually recovered in 2016. 14 years after the original theft, and returned to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. But not before they had been passed from pillar to post as the thieves tried to rid themselves of the precious but incriminating pieces. Since the Nazis first confiscated a Van Gogh painting in 1937, more than 40 of his masterpieces have been stolen in 15 separate heists from galleries all over the world. While many of the missing works have since been recovered, it's believed there are still around 85 of Van Gogh's masterpieces in unknown locations around the world. Stealing Van Gogh is available to watch on BBC Player. WHO stole the Van Gogh paintings in the 2002 heist. View of the Sea at Sheveningen, pictured, was one of two oil painting by Vincent van Gogh worth millions which was snatched by thieves on December 7, 2002. The paintings were stolen on December 7, 2002, at around 8 AM 2 hours before the museum opened. The thieves used a 15-foot ladder to climb onto the museum's roof and break into the building, escaping by sliding down a rope. Congregation leaving the Reformed church in Nuenen was the other oil painting that was stolen, portraying the village where his parents lived and painted for his mother. The men were sentenced to 4 years and 4.5 years respectively, but the paintings which were not insured were not immediately recovered. Another well-known Van Gogh work, The Potato Eaters, is said to have been too big for the thieves to get through the hole that Durham and his accomplice smashed in the security glass to access the museum, after clambering over a fence and using a ladder to get onto its roof. Durham, who was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison after being convicted in 2004, told The Telegraph that the paintings were sold to the mafia after a Dutch criminal who had agreed to buy them was murdered. Why were the paintings so special? Seascape at Sheveningen is the only Van Gogh painting from the Hague period, 1881-1883, that the Dutch Museum had in its collection. It is one of the only two seascapes that he painted during his years in the Netherlands, and it is a striking example of Van Gogh's early style of painting, already showing his highly individual character, the museum said. Meanwhile, Congregation leaving the Reformed church in Nuenen was painted by the artist for his mother. It is a small canvas that shows the church where Van Gogh's father was a minister. In 1885, after his father's death, Van Gogh reworked the painting and added the churchgoers in the foreground, among them a few women in shawls worn in times of mourning.